स्टडी IQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन।
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Anamta, Rizvi, UPSC English Literature educator. I get a lot of queries from students where they are talking about English literature. कि मैम English literature इतना बड़ा subject है, how are we supposed to deal with it? So the idea of English literature, yes, of course, it's a theoretical, completely theoretical subject, but do not look at it from a very large structure. Your syllabus is very confined. There is a strategy that is involved to understand your syllabus. There are certain questions that repeatedly come in your exam, particularly regarding that text, that poem, or that drama, whatever that you're dealing with. So today we will be decoding your syllabus. We will be seeing what strategies to maintain to understand your entire syllabus, how to read your text, how to analyze your text, and of course, what are the best sources from where you can go ahead in learning your text. So moving ahead, first of all, we have let's talk about the entire syllabus. All right, we'll be going ahead with paper 1. Now, your paper 1, agar hum log English literature ideally dekhen, then it starts from the very, very early period. That is from the 5th century, the old Saxo period, Anglo-Saxon period. But however, we are not. Your UPSC begins from the year that is from William Shakespeare's time, so the time of Renaissance, post 1564, when William Shakespeare was born. So your entire paper 1 is your Renaissance age, Restoration age, Augustan age, and of course a part of your Victorian age. All right, so paper 1 talks everything that is important, and that is, it takes particular text. So you do not have to understand the entire literature. It's not a UGC net paper or a GATE exam, or a kind of an exam wherein there is no syllabus defined. In UPSC English literature, there's a defined syllabus. The boundaries are confined, and hence you have to go ahead reading that, right? Just a second. So now you have William Shakespeare, John Donne, John Milton, Alexander Pope, and William Wordsworth. Now moving ahead to your section B. So section B have Jonathan Swift, Jane Austen, Henry Fielding, Charles Dickens, George Eliot, Thomas Hardy, and Mark Twain. This is your 19th century, and that is Victorian age. So make sure, guys, this is very important for you to understand that your entire paper 1 is nothing but from the age of Renaissance to Victorian. And in that too as well, you have defined texts. It's not that anything will come from anywhere. You have defined texts, and you will be studying those texts in a very defined manner. Like there are certain questions that are important with every text. It's not that anything will come from anywhere. They don't talk about ki story ka kya hai. They talk about your understanding of the text. So if they're talking about Charles Dickens' Hard Times, they're not talking about ki 3rd chapter mein, 4th chapter mein kya hua tha. They're talking about why was there utilitarian philosophy. What was the difference between, what was the class difference? What was the situation that was building up between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat? So they would be asking such kind of questions, which will test and assess your understanding. So more than knowing every single word of your novel, it is what you have understood. It's not what it is written. It is why has it been written. Okay, so remember this. William Shakespeare, paper 1 is really, I always tell my students that paper 1 is very easy breezy. I have taught various competitive exams, and UPSC English literature, fortunately, is one of the most confined subjects. And this is the reason that, taking this subject will help you score more, because this pool is small. It's not that there are a lot of people take English literature. If you are well-versed, even if you do not have a background in English, that does not limit you from taking, because you just need to know the history of literature, certain literary terms, and you will be equipped enough to attempt the paper. Now, moving ahead, you have paper 2, and that is literature from 1900 onwards. That is your modern age and a postmodern age. Now, in your 20th century, what were the quintessential writers, poets that were very famous who won Nobel Prize? W.B. Yeats, T.S. Eliot, W.H. Auden, Samuel Beckett. All these writers are there. Now you can see that, it's not that you are studying poets that have not been asked or that are not heard anywhere. These poets are very predictable. Their questions are predictable. You know what all can be asked. There's not even one question that you will not be practicing while writing. Why? Because that, again, I say that, the pool is small. They're understanding, they're just testing you on your certain understanding. And if you're well versed with the text, you're well prepared with your answers, nothing can stop you. Okay, so W.B. Yeats, T.S. Eliot, Auden, John Osborne, all these writers are there in your course. And Samuel Beckett, Philip Larkin, A.K. Ramanujan. Now over here, you will see that Samuel Beckett ka Waiting for Godot, a very small one. John Osborne ka Look Back in Anger, a very important text. These are poets, you will get them. And A.K. Ramanujan is Indian English poet, and Philip Larkin is your anti-romantic poet. All this poetry is not difficult at all. It is just the analysis that you have to understand. All right, moving to your section B. Now this is completely novel, as it was in paper 1. Section B completely novel tha. This is completely novel, wherein you have novelists from modern age and your postmodern age. So Joseph Conrad, Joyce, Lawrence, E.M. Foster, Virginia Woolf, all these are your modern writers. Raja Rao, V.S. Naipaul. Okay, these are the modern writers of the 20th century, wherein you will be understanding the socio-political context, the historical context of it. Post 1947, Kantapura, jo Raja Rao ki hai, that talks about the freedom movement. All right, so that is also consideration that, you just have 2 Indian English writers in your text. One is A.K. Ramanujan and one is Raja Rao, which you need to be very thorough with. All right. So apart from this, literary criticism, this also needs to be studied. Literary movements, socio-cultural background, the evolution of English language, all are integral to your preparation. How you will prepare this, I will be talking about this in your course. So remember one thing, that this is not that your course is humongous. Remember, it's not that your course is massive. Your course is limited, and that is the biggest boon of UPSC English Literature subject, because it's not that anything will come from anywhere. This is your section, and this is only from where your questions will come. Now, what is a complete strategy? Understand the age. We just cannot pick up King Lear and start reading it and say, "Main likh lunga questions, answers." No. Understand the age. Be the Renaissance. कि कौन सी age को belong करता है Renaissance? Renaissance के क्या features थे? It was one of the most important, the golden period of England at that time. चाहे वो literature हो गया, art हो गया, paintings हो गए, monarchy, the wealth that they have at that time, it was flourishing. That was a period when theatre as a genre developed, drama as a genre developed. That was a period when England became a very strong naval army, military army, and they really, really had everything that made them the superpower at that time. So Renaissance, neoclassical age. So Renaissance is after your Renaissance comes your neoclassical age, wherein you will be talking about, all those writers, that is your Milton, Alexander Pope. Romantic age comes Wordsworth. Victorian age, you have Tennyson, modernism, and post-colonial literature. Now, you have to know the historical, intellectual, and literary background before approaching individual texts. Once you are aware of all this entire history of English literature, it will be a very smooth sail for you to understand these texts. Why? Because again, as I say, it's not class 6th, 7th. It is your UPSC level. They do not want to know what does the story say. They want to know why has a writer written this. All right, moving ahead. Now read the primary text. So you have to, once you are through, once you go ahead, I will be telling you what books to read. Don't worry about that. First understand this, that read the primary text. जो आपका novels है, poems है, drama है, उनको पढ़ना है. A lot of students ask me, मैम क्या पूरा पढ़ना है? I would never discourage my students from reading the entire books. Guys, this is UPSC literature. Okay, this is not something that, we're preparing for a normal exam. This is India's one of the most important exams. For this, you must read your books from cover to cover. So plot structure, characters, major themes, important scenes, style, technique, significant quotations. These are the things that you need to focus on. और सबसे ज़्यादा कहाँ से questions आते हैं? So ये आपका major theme होगा. ये सब तो समझने के लिए कि text क्या कह रहा है. All these things are to understand, but ज्यादातर आपके सारे थीमेटिक बेस्ड क्वेश्चंस होते हैं. Okay, so at critical understanding, move beyond what happens. As I said, it's not like hua kya, what happened. No, why it happened. So what are the things you've got to focus on? Why does the writer write this way? Why has he written this? What larger literary tradition does the work belong to? अगर ये modernism पे क्यों belong हो रहा है? What is it? What fragmentation technique that he has used that this makes the work modern? What are critics saying about it? How can the same text answer different UPSC questions? All right, so you will have an understanding of all these questions and then you will be able to answer them very easily. Convert reading into answers. Every text should eventually become 8 to 10 major themes. Again, as I say, every text has 10 major themes. And trust me, you pick up your previous year questions, you see the repetition that those questions have. Why? Because 10 से ज़्यादा major themes क्या होंगी text में. So 8 to 10 major themes that will be asked over here. Character notes. So these are the notes that you should make. Major themes, character notes, critical arguments, important quotation, previous year question, golden rule क्या है? This is the golden rule that I have made for my students. Read the novel. That is, read the novel, understand it. As you are reading, understand it. Analyze the novel. As you're reading it, analyze कि ऐसा क्यों लिखा गया. Get into the depth of it. Get into the critical analysis of it. Revise it and write your answers then. Now, keep the book list limited. Again, as I say that, do not get swayed that मैं सारा literary history पढ़ लूँगा and all that. No. That's not required. There are certain books that I always suggest to my students. कोई से भी literature, history of literature आप पढ़ सकते हैं. Be it your Edward Albert or your William J. Long or your Hudson, any book that you have. Personally, I will just tell you 2 books that I think are very important, which I always recommend my students. That is the Routledge History of English Literature. Now, even the thickness of this book is not very heavy. Language is easy, it's sophisticated. There's clarity, that lucidity, and also the language is simple. It's not that it's a very high-flown language. If got text, I'll show you, and I will not recommend you this text. And that's Kazamia. Kazamia is one of the thickest book of history of English literature, but I'm not recommending you this. Okay, I know that you don't have enough time. So it's better if you read your Routledge History of English Literature to know the entire history. Second is your M.H. Abrams, a glossary of literary terms, which is very important. Why? Because there are certain times that, you are asked, अब short notes, जैसे poet of the 30s हो गया, या post colonial पे कोई note आ गया. So these are the books that will help you because you will know the entire, literary terms. So this will help you to know the ages. इसमें सब कुछ है. What you name it, and this book, M.H. Abrams' Glossary of Literary Terms, will have it. It's like one of the most important texts to know about English literature. So what will you get from these books? Literary ages, movements, background, major writers, development. I'm not getting anything from these books. I'm just recommending you because I am a PhD holder and I have qualified multiple exams of English literature. And for me, these are the books that I have summed up that and tell all my students. Whenever anyone asks me anywhere, be it in colleges, universities, or LinkedIn, or online classes, offline classes, these are the 2 books I always recommend to my students that if you want to know history of English literature, go ahead with these 2 books. All right. So then you have M.H. Abrams. I've told you this glossary of literary terms, and I'm just talking about this Routledge History of English Literature. So never replace the prescribed work with summaries. Yes, that's important, guys. Summaries are good. It is good when we teach in online mode, or you're reading to understand it, but ultimately we have to read the novel. In the classes that we have, we go ahead with each and every chapter, and it's not like that we just club the entire book and we just make the summary. Every chapter summary, every chapter analysis. Why I do the analysis in the class? Because I really want to teach you all कि कैसे analyze करते हैं, क्या techniques है analyze करने की. So you have to read the poem, the plays, the novels, and as I teach in the class, as I give you notes, and as you all analyze, that will make your reading very strong. Okay, so use criticism only to strengthen your interpretation. Do not get overly attached to this idea of critical criticism. ऐसा नहीं कि हमें बहुत quotes लिखने हैं कि हमें हर critic के बारे में बताना है. No. Have an idea कि उस critic ने क्या किया. Borrow those ideas. use those ideas in your answers. Don't copy paste the answers completely. Previous year question are effectively your second syllabus. PYQs, I always in my every lesson, after every lesson, I discuss at length the PYQs in the class, because that is where you get an idea what questions are asked. And trust me, so many times we've seen कि जो 25 में पूछा गया, वही 2020 में पूछा गया, 2019 में पूछा गया. So why? Because I tell you again and again, there are certain themes. थीम बेस्ड क्वेश्चन होता है, पेपर होता है, कितना पूछ लेंगे, राइट? सो ओवर हियर दिस इज इंपॉर्टेंट गाइज, हाउ टू प्रिपेयर फॉर 300 मार्क्स. प्रिपेयर वन ऑथर टेक्स्ट कंप्लीटली बिफोर मूविंग रैंडमली अक्रॉस द सिलेबस. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम लोग ने ये आधा पढ़ लिया, आधा किताब छोड़ दिया, फिर दूसरी बुक पे जा रहे हैं. नो, डोंट डू दैट. Go ahead, text wise, and do not just leave any text in the middle, because that's ultimately going to demotivate you. All right, so चाहे जितना भी boring text हो, जितना interesting हो, जितना boring हो, जितना लगे कि करना है नहीं करना है, go ahead with it, finish it completely, because the sense of satisfaction that you will get in finishing one text, moving to the other, will help you build your motivation. Okay, so for every prescribed work, prepare the context, themes, characters, style, symbolism, critical perspective, 8 to 10 quotations, and of course PYQs. So with this, I'm coming to an end. If you want to go ahead and join my course, guys, you can do it. We are running a very good offer. Admissions are closing on 20th August. So 20th August tak admissions aap log ke liye hain. Go ahead, take admission in it. And we are starting with a very, very fresh batch. You will understand a lot about your syllabus, how to read your text, how to analyze your text. Every study material will be given to you. Whatever note that I teach in the class, you do not need to copy it down. Your time will not be wasted. Every single notes will be given in the class. You'll go ahead, and I will also teach you how to write answers, how to go ahead with your inserting quotations within it, how to make points, how to make notes, and what all to write. All right, so this is very important, and I hope to see all my sincere students in the class. English literature, again I say, theoretical based subject hai, and I really, really hope sincerity from my students, because I put a lot of dedication and hard work in my classes, and I really expect the results to come out. And when as teachers, जब ये आता है students से इतना ही honesty अपने work में, then there is another level of happiness that we feel. So this is to all my sincere students who are really willing to go ahead with this subject. Read from cover to cover. I will always be there to help you all. So thank you, everybody. Remember, 20th August is the date. You can use my code ARLIFE. The course is 14,999. The entire information is given in the description box as well as in the comment section. If you want to connect with any of our executives, you can contact them. You can connect with me as well via them, and I'll be there. So thank you, everyone. I'll see you all in the classes.
Study IQ IAS, आपका सिलेक्शन हमारा मिशन.